first thing that got me, I mean, I knew it was propaganda right from the start. I don't actually believe that COVID is as bad as they're saying it is. I think there's an agenda behind it. That's my stance on it, right? But I realized right away when our Prime Minister said that everybody in the family was going to lose at least one person in their family to COVID, and there was going to be literally millions of people in the hospital, and the country wasn't going to be able to cope. Now, for me as a stage hypnotist, that was a red flag, because stage hypnotists work on the fact that when you do stage hypnotism, a lot of people are really kind of in a state of excitement and fear. But you pronounce your name?
It's Avi Brata. You can call Avi. Avi is the short one.
Okay, Avi. Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you, and thank you for taking out time. I'm sorry I could not make it on Monday. I wasn't feeling well. I thought the otherwise, but yeah, I'm okay now. I'm okay, and
Good.
I was really looking forward to this podcast as well, which I started 6 months back, and this is my second edition, and I'm trying to interview people from different fields throughout the world, and I mean, this is one of the most exciting ones, and even for me, because hypnotism is something which, when whatever has been portrayed on TV, or, because we often don't get to see stage shows of hypnotists on TV much. So whatever is portrayed, the artistic way, it's not really convincing, So, I mean, I have read a little bit about it now, to be a little prepared for this. And so, yeah, this show is called Minding My Business, and I welcome you, Brian. And in this podcast, I will try to basically understand first. Of course, I have now a fair idea of what is hypnotism, but I would like to slowly jump into, through the basics of propaganda hypnotism, which I went through a while back, and even yesterday I was reading a few things about it as well, and how hypnotism could be used in business as well, which we are defining it as propaganda hypnotism. So, yeah, Brian, I've gone through your profile as well. I think you've been in this business for very long, and you have, helped out a lot of organizations to get a lot of contracts, and a lot in the industry. I mean, they have used your expertise. So before we start, can I say to define hypnotism, can I say it is letting someone, allowing someone to, persuading someone to make you believe that they are in control of your mind. Is that what hypnotism is? Is that how you say,
There's, the way I look at it, there's different types of hypnotism, but I see hypnosis a wee bit differently to a lot of hypnotists, because I believe that hypnosis happens all the time in our day-to-day daily interactions. It's basically how the mind works. And when you see a stage show, or when you see a hypnotist, these are two examples of how the mind can be shaped and formed, or even manipulated. But that's happening every single day in our day-to-day lives. Our friends, our family, the people close to us are actually hypnotizing us to a certain degree.
So basically, hypnotism also, can I say that these are, in a very normal term, hypnotism is a process in which a person chooses the right set of words or sentences, the way he speaks or she speaks, which in a way, makes you believe. Suppose you say something and I go and fill in the blanks with the way you want me to fill in those blanks, the way you want me to go in that direction.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, there's different kinds of hypnosis. Well, it's all the same, but there's different applications.
Yes.
But basically, the most common one that people know about is a hypnotist who talks to somebody, who puts them into a trance, gives them suggestions, and then when they wake up, they act upon these suggestions. So yeah, and so what they're basically doing is they're taking somebody through a simple ritual, and they're chunking and they're sequencing the information to take them inwards first, and then get them to a place where they're receptive to the suggestions. And then when they wake them up, a post-hypnotic suggestion, they will actually they will respond to the suggestions that they've been given. So that's the most common one. You can also use it in what I call everyday hypnosis. So, for example, the way we structure our language every single day has an impact on people around us, just the same way as it does with a normal hypnotist. And so, what you're saying is right. Depending on what hypnosis basically is, it's focusing somebody's direction for an outcome. So, if I'm using my words in a certain way, what I'm doing is I'm basically guiding the images and the emotions that are running through your mind towards a specific aim, a specific outcome. That makes sense.
Yes. I actually wanted to say those words, but I was not getting the right phrase to say this. Brian, I would, I went through your the other two podcasts also, the two videos, and I mean, there was a lot of information to consume. I understood a few, and some of the things again bounced off my head as well. So, what I would like to probably, after, because I couldn't have done this podcast without understanding at least the basic of what hypnotism is. Since now, I'm in a situation where, at least I know A and B at least, probably not so much, but I know a little bit to touch down the topic. So I would like to start first with, your take on, propaganda hypnotism, and probably then we can slowly take it down to how the governments are using it, because, I come from India, and I come from a country where probably, political speeches are game changers in everything, like a political statement or a political speech can change the whole game or equation of the entire nation. And even for United States of America, and even from where you come from. So I would like to know the significance of hypnotism, and how as a tool it is being used in politics, and then probably we could move on to business once we finish this as well.
Okay. Well, in this country, and I'm assuming it's pretty much the same all around the world, is the way it's been used is, in fact, it's very similar to the stage work. I used to do the stage work, and it's a very similar set of techniques and processes. And what the government has done in the UK and probably around the world is put people into a heightened state of fear, a heightened emotion of fear. And the reason why they want to get you into heightened emotion of fear is because when you get to that heightened emotion, you become very suggestible. And when you become suggestible, you will then accept the suggestions that the government gives you over a period of time.
Yes. And does this also, say, when government says something, say when something is said, when some statement is told, or there is something which is being played, they actually expect you to think that way. They actually expect you to probably behave or react a certain way, which probably they are succeeding into. How is how are you say shielding yourself from just asking again? It's a random question.
Shielding, right? Okay.
Well, how am I not supposed to think? Sorry, I interrupted you. How am I not supposed to think? You asked me to think about A. How will I not think about A and think about B? You know what I'm saying. You asked me to think a certain way, but how am I supposed to stop myself? It's just a random question, though. It's not something.
Well, what I generally tell people is to really limit your time watching the mainstream media, radio, TV, and even the stuff online, because that's basically how they reach you. They reach you through the mainstream media, and what they do is they use these headlines of disaster. And have you ever noticed the mainstream media is always negative? It's always
every time, everywhere. Yes, everywhere.
And the reason why it's negative is it wants to keep you in a constant state of fear and worry, because when you're in a constant state of worry and fear, your ability to think is switched off. You can't think. Your critical thinking switched off. And you go into autopilot, you go into a fight or flight mode. And what they do is they compound that fear over and over and over again. And then what they do is they offer you the solutions to that fear. So if they can get you frightened enough, then you will go to the government and listen to them because you want the government to save you. That's the basic idea behind the propaganda. If that makes sense.
So just for an example, say in the last, sorry again, I interrupted you. I have this habit of interrupting. In the last 1 year, like we've already been going through a lot of, these are again exceptional times. In the last 1 year, say, again, UK has a different policy of vaccinations, and India are struggling with their own vaccinations, and, like all the policies regarding vaccinate or not, putting masks or not, the whole chaos in someone's head which has been put through because of COVID, that you shouldn't do this, you are not allowed to do that. How, from your point of view, how do you think government has, apart from say, we know all the negatives which has already come out, how do you think the government, I just want to know some examples, we don't have to again name and shame anyone, but I would like to know some examples in last 1 year where you thought that this is an example of propaganda hypnotism, just probably,
Well, I'll give you a few, right? The first thing that got me, I mean, I knew it was propaganda right from the start. I don't actually believe that COVID is as bad as they're saying it is. I think there's an agenda behind it. That's my stance on it, right? But I realized right away when our prime minister said that everybody in the family was going to lose at least one person in their family to COVID, and there was going to be literally millions of people in the hospital, and the country wasn't going to be able to cope. Now, for me as a stage hypnotist, that was a red flag, because stage hypnotists work on the fact that when you do stage hypnotism, a lot of people are really kind of in a state of excitement and fear, but they go there, they like feeling the fear in the audience, and we set things up on the stage in ways to create that fear. And that's when you bring somebody up on stage, they're already in a heightened state of emotion, and therefore they're really susceptible. So then you can take them through the stage show. And what I realized what our government was doing was right away, it was putting us into this state of fear. Now, if this government really wanted to keep us calm and make it guide us safely through something like that, that's what they would be doing. They would be keeping us calm, because the next again day when I went out to the shops, everybody was fighting in the shops, and the shelves were bare, and everybody was fighting over toilet paper.
Yeah.
And so basically what it was doing, it was creating a state of chaos, and creating a state of chaos is also a hypnotic technique. Because when you create a state of chaos, it's really uncomfortable for the mind. And what you're basically doing is you're breaking down all the parameters that we attach reality to. So basically what happens is the mind is really confused, and it wants a way out of the chaos. And so in order to get out of the chaos, it will accept any suggestion that the government or authority gives to get out of it. In fact, one of the ways I think about it is, if you can think about a man drowning at sea, he's drowning at sea. If a boat pulls up beside him and throws a lifeline out, he'll grab onto that lifeline. He won't even care what's on the boat. He just wants to get out of the situation. And that's basically a technique that you use, the chaos.
And you also, when I think about this, when I read about propaganda hypnotism as well, so this is probably, I would like to believe this is one of the techniques also used in international terrorism, brainwashing, and then probably, I don't believe in a lot of cults. Again, that is something, that's something which is very, very much existing today in the US. I don't know about, even in India, we do have, I don't want to address the elephant in the room, but, to create such organizations, or to probably, go and I call it brainwashing, someone, whom you explain things in a certain way that they start believing things in that particular manner, which for us is negative. So we call it like negative behavior. So do you think, again, hypnotism, all of this is actually connected to propaganda hypnotism? Of course, now when I talk to you, everything is hypnotism. Everything, the choice of words which you use to explain something to someone in a very different, for a different outcome, is hypnotism. But yeah.
Yeah, well, the way I look at it, not every hypnotist sees it the same way as me, but the way I see it is, hypnosis is just a process of communication with the unconscious mind. So anything that communicates and modifies the unconscious mind is, in my view, or the way I look at it, is a form of hypnotism.
Okay. I kind of, I'll have to read a lot of it also. I also wanted to touch some topics here regarding propaganda hypnotism through business, because I realize, I mean, you have been associated with a lot of organizations where you help them win contracts, help them get sales. So when I was going through other podcasts as well, where I understood that how hypnotism is actually say important for sales. When someone, you go to buy a car and you are spoken in a certain way that the guy manages, he gets you. So winning business contracts. So I would like to know from you, when probably we are at a time now where probably people will understand hypnotism better, probably say in the 90s, or say late 90s, even early 2000s as well. I think this was still an art. This was still an art, or a science which people didn't understand much. So I would like to know how your process and how you went through to get these things done.
Right. Okay. Well, when I was a stage hypnotist, I was a stage hypnotist mostly in the 90s, but the last big show I did was way back in 2010. And they were big shows. But the thing that impressed me when I first started doing stage hypnosis was that if you take people through a simple process and you structure your language in a certain way, you can have a profound impact upon their perceptions, right? So you can make them see things that are there, you can make them not see things that are there, and you can make them behave in ways that they wouldn't normally do. But when I left the stage hypnosis years ago, I started to realize it, started to see the same patterns around us, and I started to work with companies. And what I do now is there's two things really that the hypnosis does for business people, in fact anybody, but specifically business people. Is the first thing is I teach people about what I call unconscious set points. And unconscious set points are the level of success that you're able to achieve in any area of your life unconsciously. And you won't be able to go above those set points until you raise them. And so the first thing I do with salespeople is I raise their set points, because if you don't raise their set points, salespeople can go on sales courses,
Yes.
they can go on all that kind of training, but they can't go above their set point. So the first thing what I do is I help them raise their set points. And once you raise somebody's set points and you remove away fear, I've seen sales people in a short period of time double or even treble their sales. And then the second part to that is I teach them how to sell differently to normal sales techniques. What I do is I give them a much deeper understanding of what the reasons why people buy, and also a much deeper understanding through asking specific questions of their clients. So it's no manipulation, it's finding out on a deeper level what somebody wants.
Yes.
Then presenting them your product in that way so that it's irresistible. But the other thing about it is, if you try and use this to manipulate somebody, in the long run, it will come back and it will backfire. So it's not really about manipulation. It's really about, first of all, raising your own self-belief, raising your own set points. And then secondly, it's about understanding your client much deeper so you can serve them in a higher way, and also take them through the buying decision strategy in their mind quicker so that they get what they want, basically.
So can I say that people, unknowingly, are everyone unknowingly somehow being a part or doing hypnotism in a certain way? Can we say that, or like again, it's a very wrong statement?
No, the way I would say it is that everybody's in a trance all the time.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Because sorry, I interrupted you again.
No, it's a bit like a fish, right? A fish can't live out of water, and we can't live very long out of being in a trance, and we move from trance to trance all the time. And when I say a trance, I simply mean that, for example, right now, if you were out with some friends a couple of nights ago or even a week ago, and you had a really good time, and you're now thinking about that night that you had out, and you're reliving it in your mind, you're basically in a trance, because all a trance really is when you move your senses from the outside to the inside. And we are constantly going in and out of trance all the time. So for example, when I'm watching you, I'm noticing every now and again you're looking down, you're looking away from the screen. what you're doing is you're going inside your mind, and you're obviously thinking about questions, but you're also listening to what I'm saying, and you're matching it with things that happened in the past very quickly to try and make sense of what I'm talking about. And what tends to happen is, depending upon how your past is organized, basically what happens is you go inside and then you compare things to things that happened in the past, and then you project that back out into the outside world again. So everything that you see on the outside world is not as it is. Basically what it is, you're projecting what's going on inside you. And so therefore, that's what I mean by always being in a trance. So for example, if you're feeling depressed, the way I see it is, you're in a depressed trance. If you've ever went through a period of time where everything looks really bad, and then you snap out of it and you think, what was that about? And then everything looks different. Well, that's just one example of an everyday trance that we have.
Thank you, Brian. One more question though. This also keeps coming into my head. So, I was going through a lot of articles as well, and some of them even accused even Donald Trump and Obama of using hypnotism, which they could have. They could have. I'm not saying they wouldn't have. They could have. They might have. I'm saying, do you see, or are you surprised when you think you see the society around you, they're still not aware of something like this, and which could actually, if say 10% more people, if they knew what hypnotism was, they could have used it to their own advantage? Are you surprised that the knowledge level of hypnotism is so less that people still we don't know about it when very rare, often I come across people, okay, like you we don't find many. When I go to Facebook, it's not like I'll find 100 people on this subject. So are you surprised that even now, when the results are defined, like people will believe in a certain way, do you still feel surprised?
I'm actually quite surprised and shocked as to how effective the current propaganda is at the moment in the situation, and right around the world. It's like not everybody's fallen for it, but there's enough people have fallen for it and they can't actually see through it, and that kind of shocks me and surprises me. And the thing is, the kind of hypnosis I talk about isn't even widely known amongst hypnotists, which kind of like surprises me. Even hypnotists don't even see the bigger picture. They just focus on helping people lose weight or stop them smoking or whatever it is. It's this kind of knowledge it's actually very rare. But yeah, it does surprise me that more people don't see through what's happening in the mainstream media right now.
Okay. Brian, one more question for a very personal question for say hypnotism for general people, what I call as general population. Is hypnotism effective throughout? Like, there is something someone wants to get rid of, a habit or a style of living or something, and and he goes into that process. Say that process goes for a while. Does that process again, goes on a loop inside your head forever? Or like, I just wanted to know, like you said, again, quitting smoking, so I'm just asking. I'm just, random stuff. There could be a lot of things which, a person like you, we would want to get rid of, but I can't be meeting you every day, I can't be meeting you, so does that process...
Well, hypnosis can help with things like stop smoking, and it can help with things like weight loss. But I would say these are the best uses of hypnosis, because stop smoking is a habit, and a lot of people who don't really want to stop, right? But if you really want to stop, hypnosis can give you an extra push. But where hypnosis is really powerful is it's really, really good at getting you unstuck from patterns that have and things that have happened in the past. So emotional problems and things like that. Things that would maybe take you years in counseling or with other psychologists or with psychiatrists, you would be in these offices for years, can be, in a lot of cases, sorted within 1 or 2 sessions with hypnosis. So it's a really powerful way of making changes and sorting out traumas and things that have happened in your past that are actually affecting you now, and releasing negative emotions and things like that.
Okay. And Brian, before probably I close this podcast, my last question to you would be, in your industry, you have been in industry for long, like I again, it might be a similar question which I have asked, the awareness of people regarding hypnotism. Now when we are in 2021, say now when you speak to a lot of people, you speak to a guy like me, you speak to other people regarding hypnotism, do they really, like you are talking about hypnotism, there are different versions of hypnotism, there are different ways people understand hypnotism. Are people still believing that hypnotism is putting the pendulum in front of you and making you, making your feet get stuck on the floor? Are we still stuck in that hypnotism only, or like,
I think I think a lot of people still think of it as that way. Yeah, definitely.
yes. And
I mean, when I speak to some people sometimes who don't know me, they're frightened to look into my eyes. They think looking into my eyes is going to, I'm going to be able to take control of them like I do on the stage. But you see, the thing is, you've got to realize with the stage is different to other forms of hypnosis, because people volunteer and they come up and they want to take part. And what you see on stage, all these really
and they submit yourself to you anyways, on stage.
But also there's only like 10% of there's only 10% of the population that's suitable for stage hypnosis, only 10%. So not everybody's able to go into that kind of trance and be taken over completely like that. But there's a lot of there's a lot of misunderstandings and ignorance around hypnosis. Yeah, definitely.
Because I went, I happened to see a TEDx video of a certain hypnotist. I saw a few days back after I contacted you. So even he defined hypnotism in a way. Even he said that probably a lot of hypnotists don't know what they're doing, and he simply defined it as a way he or she is controlling someone else's mind. When I let you control me, and when I allow you to control my mind, I allow you to make me, do stuff which probably I wouldn't have. He defined it in a way. He defined it in a way which I kind of, it was a short video, and I just wanted to. I was looking for someone to define me hypnotism, because in a way that
that's one definition, because there's a lot of ways of using hypnosis. But another definition would be, right, rather than control somebody's mind to get them to do something they don't want, the hypnosis I actually specialize in is helping people remove the blocks so they can do what they want.
Blocks. Okay, yes.
They can do what they want.
They can do what they want. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's the kind of hypnosis. So it's all about giving people more freedom and the ability to get more of what they want out of life. That's the hypnosis I really specialize in. And that's probably why, I put up a video. You could put a link to it if you want, about the propaganda video which you've seen. I put that up and it just went viral right around the world. And the whole idea behind that video is to get people to become aware of what your governments are doing, so that you can then step out of that and have a lot more control over the way things are going to work out over the next few months and years, to give you some power back.
Because personally, I never thought all we say are speeches, government's speeches, media, all that comes out. I never thought that actually forms a part of, we never thought that way, we always think of something, we know, we are kind of somewhere, probably we are aware that there is a propaganda somewhere, but how is it happening? Why is it happening? Not why, say basically how is it happening, we never actually knew. We just thought those are clever choice of words. But now when I talk to you, I realize, everything everywhere, when things are happening according to them, you can tell that it is a part of a propaganda where it has happened in the US, and it has happened in UK as well. In UK as well, when people were protesting, when probably they would have realized when things were not going right. Even in India as well. A lot of
it'll be used everywhere. Yeah, and part of that obviously as well is the divide and conquer aspect, where you'll find people that are awake. Well, when I say awake, but they're aware of the propaganda, and they're aware of maybe the real intentions of the government, because they're doing the research online. They're not doing it from the mainstream media, which is completely controlled by the government. And you get the people on the other side who have bought into all the propaganda. And then what happens is the governments play them off each other. They actually play them off each other it's like they're trying to weaken the foundations, which makes it then easier to bring in the changes that they want.
So, Brian, I think we have come to an end to our podcast. More than coming to an end, I think I am kind of, whatever I had to ask, I have kind of understood. I don't say I'll go through this video again and I'll have to understand more, because this is a very interesting subject to know about, and it gives it gives a thought in mind to see things differently. And I think I will probably look at things in a different way. I've been looking at things a different way for last few days. When you understand things in a different way, and I think this was a very interesting discussion, and specifically understanding the propaganda hypnotism and the way it works. I think that is something which actually opens up, eyes of the people all around the world. I think they could also, maybe it is just helping, understanding this will help us to think in a way we want to, rather than, we being pushed to think in a certain way. So yeah, and yeah, thank you, Brian, for coming early in the morning. And yes, that was a nice discussion, and I hope I get to see you again, probably when I'm more prepared next time, because right now I just want to touch the basics. Basics are good, but to discuss about the subject matter, probably I'll have to sit with you again, because this is not going to finish in 30 minutes or 40 minutes. This is
right,
something.
okay, Avi, yeah, we can maybe do something like that in the future, see how it goes.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much, and you have a nice day. You have a nice day.
Same to you, Avi. Thanks, and bye.
Bye.